Level 1. The new agent, you're 25 years old. You just graduated from the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. 5 months of training where you ran until you threw up. You fired 1,000 rounds at the shooting range. You memorized the procedures manual like it was sacred scripture. You swore to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You believed every word. You still think you're going to change the world. You still think the FBI is what they show in the movies. Subscribe before your idealism disappears in the first year. They assign you to the Phoenix, Arizona field office. You wanted New York or Los Angeles. Big cases, organized crime, international terrorism. They sent you to the desert to investigate car thefts and mortgage fraud. On your first day, you arrive in a new suit bought with your first credit card. Perfectly knotted tie, shoes shining like a mirror. The veteran agents laugh when you walk in. They call you the college boy. They assign you the desk next to the bathroom because it's the only one available. Your first case is exciting for exactly 3 hours. A stolen identity trafficking ring. Sounds important. Until you discover that you've been working it for 8 months and it consists of reviewing phone bills in an office with no windows. 4,000 pages of phone records. Your job is to find patterns, repeated numbers, connections. Your eyes hurt after the first week. Your supervisor reviews your work and finds 17 errors. He tells you to start over from scratch. You make $62,000 a year. Sounds good until you subtract taxes. Rent in Phoenix that went up 30%. Student loans that never end. The car you need because everything is far away. You eat cheap sandwiches at your desk while your college classmates post photos from corporate offices with free food and private gyms. They make twice as much, work half as much, don't risk their lives, but you have a badge. That has to mean something. Level 2, the special agent. You're 29 years old. You've been at the office for 4 years. They don't call you the college boy anymore. Now they call you for jobs nobody wants. The 12-hour stakeout sitting in a parked car taking pictures of mid-level drug dealers. The 4 a.m. raids where you kick down doors of houses in dangerous neighborhoods looking for evidence that probably doesn't exist. The interrogations of witnesses who lie professionally because they've been arrested 15 times and know the system better than you do. Your big case finally arrives. A terrorist cell supposedly operating in Tucson. Intelligence information indicates suspicious activity. You spend 6 months investigating. Wiretaps authorized by the FISA court. Physical surveillance. Undercover agents. You spend $150,000 of the federal budget. They arrest 5 suspects in a coordinated operation that makes the national news. Your director holds a press conference talking about a neutralized threat. 3 months later, the case completely falls apart. Turns out the main informant made everything up to collect a reward. The suspects were college students talking about politics in a group chat. The federal judge destroys your prosecution request in a public hearing, calls you incompetent, says you violated basic constitutional rights. The case gets archived. The students sue the government for wrongful arrest. Confidential settlement of $2 million paid with taxpayer money. Your name never appears in reports. Officially, nothing happened. Unofficially, you're marked. You start drinking more. 3 beers after work become 6. Whiskey on Fridays. Your wife says you don't listen to her when she talks anymore. She's right. You're thinking about the case, about the mistakes, about how your supervisor pressured you to make arrests before you had solid evidence, because the departmental budget depends on statistics. Completed arrests, closed cases, it doesn't matter if they're good cases. The number matters. Level 3, the supervisor. You're 35 years old. They promoted you to supervisory special agent. Now you coordinate a team of 8 agents investigating organized crime on the Mexican border. Cartels moving fentanyl in industrial quantities. Your team works cases that really matter, or so they tell you. The reality is you arrest street-level distributors while cartel bosses live in mansions in Culiacan completely untouchable. You have a confidential informant inside a criminal organization. It took you 2 years to cultivate him. He trusts you. He gives you information that dismantles distribution networks, saves lives by preventing overdoses. Your division chief tells you to burn him. They need a big arrest for a budget meeting with Congress next month. It doesn't matter that you're destroying 2 years of undercover work. It doesn't matter that you're endangering the informant's life. What matters are the arrest photos that your director can show to senators. Hit like if you prefer having a clean conscience over pretty numbers in quarterly reports. You do what you're ordered. They arrest the informant, along with his contacts, in a coordinated operation. Press room packed. Kilos of drugs displayed on a table. Your director smiling for the cameras. 3 weeks later, they find your informant dismembered in the trunk of an abandoned car near Nogales. He was 32 years old, 2 kids. They send you a flower basket to your office as if that meant something. You write a classified report recommending changes in informant protection protocol. It gets filed without response. You don't sleep well that week or the next. Your doctor prescribes you anxiety pills. You combine them with the alcohol you were already drinking. Your wife leaves, taking your 2 daughters with her. She says you became someone different, someone she doesn't recognize. You're right to defend yourself, but the words won't come out. You just hand her the keys to the house. You sign the divorce papers without reading them. You stay in a furnished apartment where the walls are so thin you hear the neighbors arguing every night. Level 4. The Unit Chief. You're 41 years old. You run the counterintelligence unit at the Washington, D.C. office. 50 agents under your command investigating foreign espionage, cases against Russian diplomats, Chinese scientists stealing industrial secrets, corporations selling military technology to embargoed countries. The work is important. The pressure is superhuman. You meet weekly with the CIA, with the NSA, with the Pentagon. You share information. You coordinate operations. You discover that everyone has conflicting agendas. The CIA wants to arrest a Russian spy. You want to leave him active to follow his complete network. The Pentagon wants media coverage to justify defense budget. You want a discreet operation to not alert other spies. Nobody yields. The meeting ends without a decision. The spy keeps operating. 6 months later, he defects to Moscow with terabytes of classified information. Congress investigates. Your name appears in internal reports as responsible for the failure. You manage a budget of $12 million annually. Sounds impressive until you calculate actual costs. Sophisticated electronic surveillance, undercover agents maintaining false identities, international travel coordinating with foreign agencies, bribes to informants who charge $100,000 for verifiable information. The money never stretches. Every quarter they cut 10%. They tell you to do more with less, as if physics allowed that possibility. You have information about illegal mass surveillance authorized after 9/11, wiretaps of citizens without a warrant, data collection programs violating the Fourth Amendment. Your responsibility is to oversee those programs, ensure they comply with legal limits. But the limits are creative interpretations of laws written before the internet. One lawyer says it's legal, another says it's a federal crime. You're in the middle signing authorizations that could end up in a congressional investigation if they ever leak publicly. Level 5, the Assistant Special Agent in charge. You're 47 years old, second in command at the New York office, the largest in the country with 1,200 agents. You coordinate entire divisions, national security, organized crime, white-collar crime, domestic terrorism. Your job is as political as it is operational. You have dinners with federal prosecutors, conferences with the mayor, meetings with police chiefs who protect territories like feudal lords. A police brutality case lands on your desk. NYPD officers beat an unarmed suspect to death. Viral video on social media. Protests in the streets. The mayor calls you directly, asks you for the FBI to take the case to show impartial federal oversight. You investigate. You find solid evidence of homicide, excessive use of force, coordinated cover-up. You recommend federal charges against 5 officers. Your director tells you to stop. The New York Police Commissioner is a personal friend of the governor. The governor has presidential aspirations. He needs support from police unions. Prosecuting officers destroys that relationship. They order you to file the case for lack of sufficient federal evidence. You draft the report knowing it's a lie. You sign it knowing it's cowardice. You file it knowing you betrayed every oath you took. The viral video disappears from the news cycle in 2 weeks. Nobody remembers after. You make $140,000 annually plus benefits. Good federal pension waiting for you. Excellent health insurance. Institutional respect. But you can't look at your daughters without feeling shame. One is studying law, focusing on civil rights. She asks you about the viral case she saw on social media, the one where the FBI was supposedly investigating. You tell her you can't discuss active cases. She looks at you as if she knows you're lying. She probably knows. Level 6. The Special Agent in Charge. You're 52 years old, director of the Chicago field office. 300 agents report to your orders. Operating budget of $50 million annually. You are the FBI in your territory. You make decisions that appear on the front page of national newspapers. When there's a mass shooting, you give the press conference. When they dismantle a terrorist network, your face appears on national television. When something goes wrong, your head rolls first. A group of environmental activists plans a protest at a corporate pipeline. Intelligence suggests possible infrastructure sabotage. Your domestic terrorism division opens an investigation. You infiltrate undercover agents into the group, wiretap phones, physical surveillance 24/7. You discover they're college students organizing a peaceful sit-in. No violent threat, no sabotage plan. Just young people with signs and social consciousness. But you invested $200,000 of budget, 6 months of work. Your boss in D.C. wants results. You arrest 18 activists for conspiracy to destroy federal property. Exaggerated charges. Your federal prosecutor protests, saying the case won't proceed. You pressure him, citing departmental national security priorities. Maximum media prosecution. The activists spend 8 months in preventive detention before a federal judge dismisses all charges as fabricated. Civil lawsuits against the government for $30 million. Confidential settlements again. Your name appears in an internal investigation, not for the dismissed case, for leaks to corporate press. Someone gave classified information to friendly journalists before the arrests. Articles describing the activists as dangerous terrorists. Public opinion prepared to support the operation. The investigation determines that the leaks came from your office. They never find the person responsible. Officially, you receive a written reprimand. Unofficially, they tell you that you did exactly what they expected. Level 7. The Assistant Director. You're 57 years old. You run an entire division from the Hoover Building in D.C. You decide national investigation priorities. You assign resources between field offices. You testify before congressional committees where senators yell at you for 3 hours about cases they'll never understand. Your salary is public. $180,000, that sounds impressive until you pay D.C. taxes. Rent in Georgetown because you need to live close to work. Private schools for your son because D.C. public schools are a federal disaster. You inherit programs that should never exist. Mass surveillance of citizens without criminal suspicion. Databases with biometric information of 200 million Americans. Secret agreements with tech corporations sharing private data without users' knowledge. Programs classified so deeply that only 50 people in government know their complete existence. Your job is to administer them efficiently while maintaining plausible deniability if they leak publicly. Go subscribe to discover how much of your personal data is on government servers without your permission. An FBI programmer becomes a whistleblower, leaks classified documents to journalists, thousands of pages detailing domestic surveillance programs. Collection of phone metadata, backdoor access to social media servers, coordination with NSA intercepting international communications of citizens. The scandal explodes on world headlines. Congressional hearings broadcast live. Global protests for privacy. They order you to find the whistleblower, destroy his credibility, prosecute him with the Espionage Act, which carries the death penalty. You use the FBI's complete resources, digital forensic analysis, surveillance of suspected colleagues, psychological pressure. You find the person responsible in 3 weeks. They arrest him at the airport trying to flee abroad. 25 federal charges. The press destroys him as a traitor. What he leaked was true, every document verified as authentic, but the public narrative paints him as a national enemy. He'll serve 35 years in maximum security prison. You receive a promotion 6 months later. Level 8, the FBI Director. You're 63 years old, maximum power in the most powerful federal investigation agency on the planet. 35,000 employees, budget of $9 billion annually, offices in 80 countries. You report directly to the Attorney General and the President. Your name is in history books. Your face recognized globally. Your legacy will be judged by generations, and that terrifies you more than any physical threat. You handle cases that determine elections. You investigate presidential candidates for mishandling classified information. Every move analyzed by millions. You announce findings 11 days before an election. You impact the outcome. You knew it would happen. You made a political calculation disguised as institutional neutrality. The candidate you hurt hates you publicly. The candidate you benefited hates you privately because he knows you have compromising information about his campaign too. The president invites you to a private dinner at the White House, just the two of you. He asks you for personal loyalty, not to the Constitution, not to the institution, to him specifically. He asks you to close an investigation into his campaign team coordinating with foreign intelligence. It's not a suggestion, it's a direct order. You record the conversation in a classified memorandum that same night. You know that eventually you'll have to testify about this moment. You know your career will end no matter what you decide. 6 months later, you're fired via Twitter. 280 characters ending 30 years of service. You're giving a conference in Los Angeles when you see the news on television. The flight back to Washington is the longest of your life. The agents in the office look at you with pity. Your assistant packs your belongings in boxes. You leave the building for the last time without ceremony, without thanks, without coherent public explanation. You write a memoir that sells millions. You give interviews on late-night shows. You testify before Congress about obstruction of justice. You become a hero to half the country, a villain to the other half. The truth is, you're human. You made monumental mistakes disguised as institutional righteousness. You made political decisions pretending bureaucratic neutrality. You ran an organization that systematically violated constitutional rights while swearing to protect them. This is what they don't tell you at Quantico. The FBI isn't what Hollywood shows. They're not incorruptible heroes protecting innocents. They're armed bureaucrats navigating institutional politics while accumulating power. Each level promises more justice, more truth, more public service. But each promotion requires deeper moral compromises, darker loyalties, more elaborate lies. New agents enter believing in the mission. They leave 5 years later, cynical and divorced. Supervisors balance statistics against real justice. Field directors sacrifice cases for budgets. Assistant directors administer unconstitutional programs with creative legal memos. The director navigates presidents who treat the FBI like a personal political police. How many fabricated cases? How many burned informants? How many innocents arrested to meet quotas? How many surveillance programs violating the Fourth Amendment? How many secret agreements with foreign dictatorships sharing intelligence about political dissidents? The numbers are classified, the victims forgotten, those responsible promoted. The badge promises protection. The system demands obedience. You wanted to serve your country. You ended up serving politicians. You wanted to defend the Constitution. You ended up finding legal interpretations allowing what the Constitution explicitly prohibits. You wanted justice. You discovered that justice is negotiable when budgets are at stake. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on notifications. Because the FBI doesn't just investigate crimes, sometimes it commits them. Sometimes it covers them up. Sometimes it authorizes them in the name of national security. And when you join thinking you're going to change the system from the inside, eventually you discover that the system changed you first. The badge keeps shining. The conscience doesn't.